Hello, my name is Ralph and welcome back to the channel. It's my time, let's go. Follow us along as we get started on Gus's bottom end, and today we're going to have a look at the cases to begin with. We've got to take the races out and put new races in, and I think we'll do that today. I'm going to take them out because I'm going to blast the cases and then we'll put new ones in. You're just going to touch them up, but I don't think you can just touch them up, so I think the best thing to do is to bead blast them and clean them off. So the first thing we're going to do is get these races out. And we've got it mounted in the vise here so we can get at it and just clamp it lightly so that it just doesn't move around on us as we work on it. We've got a big punch here, and what we've got to do is get these races out. And you want to be careful to not dig into the aluminum anywhere, but there's a very large lip there, so we just go around and start tapping them, trying to drive them out. And work them around all the sides. Don't just beat on one side and then try to get them out, but go back and forth so that the race comes out evenly. And that one's moving out. You can see it going. And there we go. First race is out. So, now you can see in there where the race is. At the top of this case, on the inside, there's an oiling hole here. And this oil allows oil to go down into the race. Now between the two races, there's a C-clip in here. And the top of the C-clip has to be exposed to the hole. If you put that clip in there and block that hole off, you won't get much oil to your bearings. Well, I always like to have something, a rag, something so they're not just down on the rough surface. Lay it good and flat. And we just do the same thing. We just tap around nice and easy to make sure that it's coming out. And now that steel race is out. So now we have to get the centerpiece out. And in order to get it started, the only way that you can really get it started is by putting a punch in there through this hole. And it will come out through there. But as you can see, with it through there, we're not moving that clip around. So what you've got to try and do is to tap that clip around so where you can get it started. And we'll just keep tapping it around. Fairly lucky this one's going fairly easy. And as I think you can probably see, we've moved it around the hole. It's now over here and not where the hole is, where my finger is. So we'll put our punch in. And we'll try to give it a smack to get that started. Once we've tapped the punch through, you can see where the bearing is, or the center thing is popped out now. And we're just going to work it around. And it will pop. If you just start working it slightly, it will pop free in the hole here. So you can see we have it free. You try to pull the bottom out because we don't want to score the case up. So you try to work it so that you're not tearing away at the case. We very carefully try to tap it out so that the sharp ends aren't digging in the case. And if you take your time, you can see that it's coming out. I'll try to put a little light on this one, if I can. but the edges are coming out, and we're not scoring the case up with the tight edges from the top. And that's all there is to it. We've got it out with no marks in the case. You want to keep this surface as clean as we can, because when we put our new races in there, we don't need any gouges or scrapes in there. So that's that. As with anything that I try to explain, take your time. Take your time. Don't force it. Work it around slowly. Work it around slowly. Being aware that these top pieces, this ring, can score your case pretty bad if you're not paying attention to how it comes out. So as you tap that down and one side comes down, you can start tapping around here and the whole ring will pop out. That one come out nice and clean. And that's what we want. Okay. So the plan here today is to size our valve guides out. Because we've had to put new guides in the head, they're of course too tight to put your exhaust valves in. Even these old ones won't go in the guide at all. So we have to enlarge them out to the size that they're supposed to be. And the recommended size, I think they say, is 377 valve. Depends on the valve guides. I've measured my valve guides here, and I've got about a 375 on the exhaust one, and 375, 377 on the intake. They're closer to 377. The intakes are done, and we have what we call these go and no-go gauges. And they're basically little ends that we can put in these. And they just come out like this. They have a little sleeve. That one going to stick on me. There we go. Small sleeve, just a compression sleeve that goes on those, so that when you stick them through and then you tighten this up, you can extend the end out. And then tighten them up. And then this piece is now your size. Now for our intake valves, we've already checked them and they seem to be good. So this is the proper size for them. And this just goes in there snug, nice and snug. And the same with this head that we have here. We can fire it in here. And it's just a nice fit in there. So that's the kind of clearance, you know, 1/1000th of an inch, maybe 1.5 at most. 1/1000th of an inch on the intakes will do it just fine. So we have this set up so we know where we're going. And what we have going here is we have a 3775 valve guide, a hole. And then when you put this in to the valve guide, that will be the proper size fit for that size. So we know that this here is red for stop, don't go any farther, and the green is for go, that you can keep going. That's the way we remember it. Now many years ago I made some pieces for holding these heads in the lathe, and I have them here, and they just look like that. There's the spacer block, and they have a cutout in them, and they'll basically go on the heads like that. And with the cutout, there's enough room in here for anything to stick up through. So when I go to do my valves, I know that the end of my arbor is coming up through there. I don't know if we can't stick that in because it's not the right size. Oh yes, we can. Use that as an example of the valve. If I was working on this part of the valve head and it was going up through, you could see how I have clearance here for it. And we won't be up that far. So that's like that. And then we have our top plate. That's kind of interesting to me that I made this top plate and it's engraved on here. You probably can't see it, but it says Top Shovel Head, PMC 1995. So I made this setup in 1995. But it's nice for holding the heads in place. We just set them on there. What it was originally designed for was to put it in the lathe and cut the spigots out or surface the top of the head. If the head wasn't the right size, you know, or warped, and you had to cut the surface down on it, you had to make sure that you could mount it in there and dial it in nice and square. And we, of course, would use a 4-jaw chuck and then dial that in to 0 all the way around. This is just a plate to help me hang on to things. Yeah, it takes an extra couple minutes, but I'm not chasing the head all over the table. We're beating up the threads. So we also use this, we could put it in the lathe, and what we could do is cut this out for 3 5/8 cylinders for big bores. So when you mounted that in the lathe like that, you were able to cut it out. But today we're just going to work on that exhaust guide. What we have here is our sun and valve guide hone, and it works and expands out to different sizes so that we can make it fit. I have this little piece in my chuck, and what I can do is stick that in there and just lightly run this through, make sure there's not too much drag on it, but just enough. And I'm going to put a little bit of cutting oil on it. And what that does, running through this, is completely parallel inside. So when that runs through, it makes my stone stay nice and straight so that I know that the whole length of this that it runs now is in line. Otherwise, you wouldn't be sure. So we'll just put that in there lightly. See where we're at. And I'm a little loose. So I'm going to put cutting oil down in there. Honing oil. And with this jig I have, I can feel it bottom out. Now we'll just run the goop out. And again, we'll take this is our stop one, so we'll take the green one and see if we're even getting close yet. And we're not. Sometimes it takes a bit to hone it out, but the trick is to not be in a hurry. You have to really run the brush through it each time because the grit and stuff will build up in there. And my green one is just barely starting to go in there. So I'm just going to give it a little spray. Try it. Yeah, just barely starting to go in there. Now put the honing oil on. As you can see, I couldn't get it in before. That one at the bottom. Just give it a little touch for a thou or half a thou. Enough. Now, back to where we are here. Okay. quite, but we're almost there now. And remember, this is our keep going one, so we're good and safe what we're doing here, because it will not go through. And I'm just going in it now. I can just put that through. A little bit snug, but that could be a little bit of the fluid and such. Now, this is where we want to stop. So this one will not go all the way down in there. It's still standing up. So we know we need a little bit more for this one. Now we could probably put the valve guide in there. The valve. But we certainly wouldn't have the clearance that we need to have for an exhaust guide valve, exhaust guide, which they say should be 2/1000ths of an inch. So I'm going to take a little more. There, I'm going to double check, just double check everything. I'm going to check my valve. And that is 375. Check our go gauge, 76, 377. And this is 3775. Yeah. So, according to valve manufacturers and such like AV&V, which we have here in Canada, if you buy one of their reamers will cut it out to that size. 3777 is what they suggest on the exhaust with their valves. So, we're just gonna have to go a little more. It will only take a little bit. So we're almost in there. We're ever so close. And I think what I'm going to do I'm so close I don't think I'll take another cut right now. What I may do is when I take it out of the jig, just turn it over and take a cut through this way. Just to make sure, rather than working all on one side. But I'm very, very, very close there. Because you don't want them bell-mouthed, and they shouldn't be bell-mouthed. When I do this on that little rig there and straighten it out, that's to prevent that, so it only takes a minute. Haste makes waste. A little bit snug. So we are going to take some from the top. just a little bit at the top there. Yeah. Almost through there. And there we go. She's snug, it don't move, it just fits in there. That's what we're looking for. All right. So we'll do the same thing to the other head. Okay. The green one, which shows me I can keep going, is going all the way down in there now, just a little bit. So to ensure that there's not a problem with it taking too much out of either side, now I'll just pull the top off. And we'll make a pass or two down through the top. And we'll know that we've got it nice and even all the way. No matter how careful you are, I don't care whether it's this, doing this, honing cylinders, honing anything out, honing a fourth gear bushing out. You should always reverse it. Or what I mean is work on from side to side. Or if you're doing rods, and if you just stick them on there one way, it's a chance they can be bell mouthed one way. So you always reverse everything, and the same with this. And I'm going to do it here now. And we'll be able to see if there is much difference. And as you can see, it'll go in there, starting to go down, but it's just a little snug at the top, and it'll go practically all the way down in the bottom. So I'm going to hone this a little bit. There we go. Yes, even that little tiny bit, it's just taking it up, so it's just a little bit at the top. But we certainly don't want to cut too much off it or too much of a cut. We just want to snug it up and a little bit of relief at the, making sure she's even there. Now the difference in this one and this one is just a 1/2 thousandth of an inch. So that's how much we're playing with there. You see, that won't go in. I'm going to check the other side. Green is snug all the way. And that only goes in there about halfway. So we're going to continue to take just a ever so slight amount off of here. We are so close now. So close. It's that much. like that. That's the way it's supposed to go. Sometimes it can be real tedious and it can look like it's, oh geez, I got a problem there. That's just a nice fit in there, just like the other one. We'll also put it in from the bottom, just to be sure. And it's exactly the same kind of fit. There's no play, there's no nothing. That's just slides in there. So it takes a little longer than reamers. And I thought about buying reamers from time to time, but this works really well. And if I just take my time with it, I get nice straight holes. You know, if you just jam it in there and hope for the best, that's what you'll get. So, now those are done today. So when the new valves come, I should be able to just fire them in there. That's what I'm going to do, and lap them, and then they'll be ready to go. So nothing goes smooth, nothing goes perfect, but you get the idea. And like I say, it gives you a nice clean hole there, and I'm happy with that. That's the way it should be, and I've done many of them like that. Sometimes it'd be frustrating at moments. Calm. Calm. All right, on to something else.